The rain poured mercilessly over the city, a relentless curtain of water that seemed to wash away even the faintest traces of hope. In the middle of the storm, a young man named Aiden stumbled through the streets, his shoes soaked, his clothes clinging heavily to his thin frame. He clutched a worn-out backpack against his chest as if it were the only thing keeping him grounded in a world that constantly seemed intent on breaking him. His stomach growled, his hands trembled from exhaustion, and yet he pressed on. To anyone passing by, he might have looked like just another struggling student, beaten down by the weight of life. But inside, Aiden carried something fragile, an ember of determination, dim but still burning. Before we dive deeper into Aiden's story, let me ask you something. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of unexpected miracles, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Kindness Tales. Your support helps us spread these real, heart-touching stories to more people who need hope in their lives. Aiden had always been a fighter, though life had dealt him a harsh hand. He came from a small town where opportunities were scarce, and education was a luxury. His father had abandoned the family when he was a child, and his mother, though hardworking, had struggled with chronic illness for years. For Aiden, every achievement came at the cost of sleepless nights and endless sacrifices. He had worked odd jobs just to save enough money to attend college in the city, dreaming of one day becoming an engineer and lifting his mother out of poverty. But dreams, he was learning, were fragile things. As the semester dragged on, his financial situation worsened. His part-time job at a local diner barely covered rent for a small, damp room and the simplest of meals. Books, tuition, transport, everything was piling up against him like a tidal wave. Many nights, he went to bed hungry, his stomach aching, but his mind refusing to stop. He spent hours hunched over borrowed textbooks, scribbling notes by the dim light of a second-hand lamp. His friends had begun to drift away, busy with their own lives, while he quietly drowned in responsibilities no one else could see. There were moments when despair almost swallowed him whole. Like the night he received an eviction notice taped to his door, warning him that he had just days left to pay or leave. Or the time his professor reminded the class about the upcoming lab fee, and Aiden's chest tightened because he didn't even have enough to buy groceries for the week. Each setback cut deeper into his already fragile spirit, and yet he kept moving forward, because what other choice did he have? To give up would mean losing everything he had fought so hard for. One particularly cold evening, Aiden sat in the university library, his body shivering despite the heat blasting through the vents. His stomach twisted with hunger, and his eyes burned from exhaustion. He looked around the room, filled with students laughing, chatting, sipping expensive coffee. For a moment, bitterness flickered through him. They would never understand what it was like to have nothing. They would never know the humiliation of begging for extra shifts, or the silent pain of skipping meals so their mother could afford medicine. But then he forced himself to breathe, to calm the storm inside. Anger wouldn't help him, only resilience would. It was in that library that his life was about to change forever, though he didn't know it yet. Sitting a few rows away was an elderly woman, dressed in simple but elegant clothing. Her silver hair was tied neatly in a bun, and her posture carried the quiet strength of someone who had seen both the beauty and cruelty of life. She watched Aiden for a while, noticing the dark circles under his eyes, the way his hands trembled as he scribbled notes, and the quiet despair he tried so hard to hide. Unlike the others in the room, she didn't overlook him. She recognized something in his eyes, a reflection of her own past struggles, battles she had fought decades earlier. The woman's name was Evelyn Carter, a 65-year-old billionaire who had built her empire from nothing. Few knew her full story, that she had once been homeless, sleeping on park benches with only a notebook to write down her dreams. She had clawed her way out of poverty with determination, resilience, and a few kind souls who had believed in her when no one else did. Now, she was one of the wealthiest women in the country, known for her sharp mind and philanthropy. But she never forgot where she came from, and when she saw Aiden, something stirred deep within her heart. For several days, Evelyn quietly observed him. She saw him eat crackers from a torn wrapper instead of buying food from the cafe. She noticed how he lingered in the library until closing because it was warmer there than his small rented room. She even overheard a brief, trembling phone call he made to his mother, assuring her everything was fine when his voice cracked under the weight of lies. Each moment tugged at her heartstrings until she could no longer stay silent. One evening, as the library began to empty, Evelyn approached him. Aiden looked up, startled, as she gently placed a hand on the table. She didn't scold him, didn't pity him, but instead offered a simple smile. And though he didn't realize it yet, that smile carried the promise of a miracle. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn reached out to him in quiet, careful ways. She paid his overdue rent anonymously, ensuring he wouldn't be thrown out on the streets. She arranged for his tuition fees to be covered, sending the confirmation through the university's office without ever attaching her name. She even had groceries delivered to his door under the guise of a community program. Aiden was stunned, overwhelmed, and at first suspicious. Who could possibly care so much for someone like him? When he finally discovered it was Evelyn, he was speechless. She revealed herself one afternoon, sitting across from him at a small cafe. She told him her story, not with pride, but with humility. She spoke of nights she went hungry, of the fear of failure that haunted her youth, and the rare kindnesses that had given her strength to continue. Aiden listened, tears brimming in his eyes, because for the first time in years, he felt understood. But Evelyn's greatest gift wasn't money, though she had given generously. Her greatest gift was belief. She looked him in the eyes and said, "I see myself in you. Don't give up. You have something the world needs, your persistence, your courage. And I will stand by you until you see it too." Those words became a lifeline, wrapping around his weary heart and pulling him back from the edge of despair. With Evelyn's support, Aiden's life slowly transformed. He no longer studied on an empty stomach or worried about being homeless. Instead, he poured all his energy into his education, excelling in classes, and even earning recognition from his professors. For the first time, he allowed himself to dream without fear. He joined projects, shared his ideas, and began to build a future he once thought was impossible. And through it all, Evelyn remained by his side, not as a benefactor, but as a mentor, guiding him with wisdom and compassion. Years later, when Aiden stood on stage receiving his engineering degree with honors, his eyes immediately searched the crowd for Evelyn. There she was, smiling through tears, her hands clasped proudly. In that moment, he knew his journey wasn't just his own. It was theirs, a testament to the power of kindness, to the impact of one person who chose to see beyond appearances and invest in another's potential. And yet, Evelyn's final gift was the one that stunned him most. On the day of his graduation, she handed him an envelope. Inside was a deed, ownership of a small but thriving company she had built years ago. She told him it was his now, a stepping stone to build the life he dreamed of. Aiden was overwhelmed, tears streaming down his face as he realized the depth of her faith in him. It wasn't just money or opportunity she was giving. It was trust, legacy, and the chance to change not only his own life, but the lives of others. He vowed then and there to honor her gift by living a life of purpose. He would never forget the struggles that had shaped him, and he would dedicate himself to helping others as she had helped him. For in Evelyn's kindness, he had discovered the true meaning of wealth, not measured in money, but in the lives we touch, the hope we ignite, and the legacies we leave behind. If this story touched your heart, Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Every action you take helps these stories of compassion and humanity reach more people who need a reminder that there is still goodness in the world. And before we end, I have a special request. Comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives." If you believe in the power of generosity and second chances, let's fill the comments with hope and gratitude. Because sometimes, all it takes is one act of kindness to turn a struggling soul into a shining light for the world.